Hi and good afternoon everyone, and welcome to our webinar today on Talis, Aspire and accessibility. Thank you those of you who have confirmed that you can hear me and see the title slide okay. If there are any problems during the webinar, if you can't hear me, do just let us know in the question box. So my name is Emma Dodd and I'm a support consultant as part of the services team here at Talis. We do have our user experience specialist, Jeremy Baines, who leads the UX or user experience team here at Talis. And if Jeremy were here today on this webinar, he would advise you and tell you that he is a published author on this subject and may have even tried to sell you a signed copy, of course, of his book, which is just there. So just to give you a background really and let you know how serious Talis do take accessibility and user experience. So today's webinar is all about going to talk to you today about Talis's approach to user experience and why it really is important to us. Where does inclusivity and accessibility fit in with user experience? And asking what inclusivity means in terms of standards and testing. And we'll be sharing some examples of Talis, Aspire and inclusivity in action. We understand that because companies work on product experiences that serve their business and their institutional objectives, and making sure that those products are accessible and usable for all and still a joy to use, which isn't easy and can form a challenge. And I'll be talking to you about some of those today and how that builds into our design. So with Talis, all developments start with the user experience design, so the software is intuitive to use. It's making sure that our users are engaged and making their experience as efficient and enjoyable as possible, whoever they are and whoever their needs are. With efficiency, it really is about bringing order to complexity. So to create our product experiences that serve their business and institutional needs that are accessible and usable to all. Our user experience team help make our software simple and enjoyable to use. And in Talis, we talk about our agreed and shared design language, and we share that with our universities right from when they start with us in the branding guidelines, when universities are considering how to brand their particular regionalist tendencies as well. At Talis, we do concentrate on inclusivity and student experience. A recent example of this is how we have prioritised the new list view student interface before enhancing the list edit interface, which is now currently in beta testing. We took the decision at Talis to actually prioritise the student view first, which is now rolled out actually to the majority of our universities and a number of you who are online today. For Talis, in terms of efficiency, inclusivity and magic, we will explore the magic a little bit further on this presentation. So just to explain where that fits in, and in terms of this slide here, we haven't invented this chart, but this is an example of a timeline that product can go through on its user experience journey. So starting off being that it's usable and that it works, moving through to efficiency and then being desirable. And that's where the magic comes in towards the end of the emotional attachment. Thinking of examples such as Apple products causing an emotional attachment to them. In the 10-year history that Talis has had and the size of our university community, which continues to grow, and how we gather feedback on the products that Talis have and our in-house commitment, it's best place in Talis to ideally move towards the right-hand side of this chart here. And that's just to explain how that works and how we're aiming to move forward with that. So with inclusivity, it really is the cornerstone of our product process. It's referred to as inclusivity rather than accessibility because it is a broader topic, and we will come back to that shortly. Why do we care about the minority of users? Because if we care about the minority of users, those really are those edge cases that make things better for all. So if we make an adjustment for an edge case, everyone in the community and everyone using the software will then benefit from that as well. So it really is, we're considering asking whose problem are we solving with accessibility and inclusivity? Yourselves as the institution, is it the software in terms of ourselves at Talis, or the operating system manufacturers, whether that be Microsoft or Apple or any other operating systems? Many online software providers maybe don't put too much emphasis on the inclusivity part and leave that to the operating system manufacturers. This may be because of a lack of knowledge, pricing, or not being able to build that in. And at Talis, we are committed to building in inclusivity and accessibility, as we are explaining through these slides and the interfaces that we've got. So who benefits from this and who benefits from better accessibility? So just a quick example on this slide on why we should care of who benefits. There are 360,000 people registered blind in the UK. And interestingly, colour deficiency in the UK affects 1 in 12 men and 1 in 200 women. Looking around your institution in your workplace, seeing how many of us need glasses or are wearing contact lenses as well. It's not maybe as an obvious thing when you think of accessibility, but it's still an adjustment that's being made. So what I mentioned earlier about the edge cases, it really can be a trickle-down effect in terms of fixing those edge cases. Means that everyone has a much better experience, and you're helping them, those who need a more optimised experience. For example, using screen readers. So when code is being written for the products, screen readers are taken into account and tested. So the software that we are using and building is compatible with those. By talking about inclusivity, we talk about those people who wouldn't necessarily describe themselves as having special access needs. And therefore, in doing that, we are reaching a wider audience than those with accessibility and disability needs. So how do we make sure that we're hitting all of those and that we are providing the accessibility needs for our users? So this slide just explains the standards of which Talis follow, and in terms of how we test our software against that when developing it. So the main one is the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. We've also have Accessible Rich Internet Applications, ARIA, and using the accessibility tree, which is used by technologies to get the best experience of site for users as well. So it just gives you an overview if you weren't sure of those are the different standards that we follow and that we use when we're designing. Going into the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines a little bit further, these are the 4 key principles of them. So it's ensuring that the software is perceivable, that it's understandable in terms of not having jargon, being familiar, that it's operable, so it can be used with those assistive tools such as screen readers, the ability to tab around as well on operable. I've got an example I can show you on that a little bit later. And in terms of robust, is that standing up against lots of different maybe browser compatibility and different devices as well that's being used. So is it accessible on a laptop, but then is it also meeting those needs in terms of being on an iPad or a smartphone, which we know our students are increasingly using to access their reading lists. So for inclusivity, there are 3 main areas we think carefully about. We have vision, physical and motor skills, and learning and literacy. So I've just got a couple of points to explain each of these. So under vision, I've mentioned a couple of times that screen readers. Also, is the software compatible for when zoom tools are used as well? When being zoomed, is the text still structured? There's no sort of pixelating in any images. In terms of colour blindness, it's ensuring that we don't use colours as the only way to convey information. So, for example, on the new student list view, we have the drop down of reading intentions, which does change colour for the have read, reading now, won't read. But as well as changing colour, we also have the symbols that change with that as the student scrolls down as well. So it's not relying on just the colour for interacting with that particular feature. For physical and motor skills, it's ensuring that the interface can be used with the keyboard, such as tabbing, and appropriate markers within the data structure so that tabbing can happen. In terms of keeping a mouse still, in terms of click target sizes as well, so there's a good area to be clicked on if someone isn't able to navigate the mouse accurately. With the baseline experience, it's making sure that there's a good gestures, mouse, and that colour again is only enhancing, not the only feature and way that the areas can be distinguished. As we know, learning and literacy is a huge area and one that is continuing to grow and develop as more research comes out on learning and literacy. In terms of dyslexia, allowing screen colours to be changed for colour overlays and considering and thinking about contrast ratios as well, and which is why we build that into our design language and onboarding for our branding guidelines. In terms of long-term and short-term memory and onboarding, at Talis we're doing enhancements with our knowledge base. As many of you already access our knowledge base in terms of the articles, but recently we've developed within both digitised content and reviews prompts and links to relevant help and support articles from the help button within the interface, so it's reminding someone where they are and would you like some help? I can see you're on this particular area, and that work will enhance so we can get those features and help support into other areas of the system as well. So how do we make sure that we're covering all those things in terms of the accessibility themes? We do this by doing quite a lot of testing. Some of you may be aware or have been involved in beta testing before, whether that's on the list edit that's been developed at the moment or the list view. So how do we do that testing? Manually, we're testing keyboard navigation, user functionality, screen reader testing, and operating system tool tests as well. In terms of instruction guides, at the moment we've got a couple of universities testing the new list edit, and on purposely to check that the list edit is intuitive for academics and list publishers, we haven't at the moment provided guidance and instructions on how to use it, because what we really want to see here is and test during this beta testing phase that actually it is intuitive and it's easy for people to use without having to rely on guides. And like I say, that's just in its infancy at the moment in being tested. We also use semi-automated tools to measure and evaluate inclusivity of our products. This includes Chrome Lens and Axe as well. There are a couple of the tools that we use there. For automated testing during coding, we write tests to accompany them and tests to accompany that code, again, such as using Axe. With the external audits, we have in the past used AbilityNet to audit Talis Aspire, and Digital Accessibility Centre has also been utilised to evaluate other tools and systems as well. In terms of the community, we test feedback to beta universities who are taking part in that, and then we ensure that we're building that feedback and developing that into our products, and at the moment that is reflected in the new list view and also undergoing in the list edit. So I've got a couple of examples of accessibility tools that are used within Talis Aspire. So I've just going to switch to play a short demonstration video of how a screen reader works in Talis Aspire. So just bear with me and I'll just make that change now.
Chrome, Inside 7. Headings menu. Heading level 2. These books provide some really good overviews of the major changes in world history over the New Penguin History of the World button. Press the New Penguin History of the World button. Press Reading Intentions menu for item pop-up button. Reading Intention Don't Read button menu 5 items. View Actions menu for item pop-up button. Add a note, required invalid data, edit text. Cancel button. Add a note, required invalid data, edit text. Space. Exclaim. Save button. Press Save button.
So that gives you an idea of how a screen reader works within Talis Aspire if you hadn't seen that before. The next example that I have for you is how a tab works in terms of using a keyboard navigation. So there's no sound on this one. I'll just play that to show you. So all of the movements that are happening on this video that's been demonstrated are being used by using the tab across. So the headings are designed to be read clearly for those tabbing. So here we've got table of contents, which resources and reading intentions to view. And the filters are updating on which filters have been added there. And also being listed in terms of citation styles as well. Search bar is easy to navigate to, and again, well, that's been typed through from the keyboard. And again, we can see there's reading intentions there with the different colours and different symbols being displayed on there. So all of those interactions that happened were basically done without using a mouse, all through the keyboard and tabbing across as well. So hopefully you have found that useful. Just to advise you, Talis are currently working on, in the next couple of few weeks, to publish a statement that universities can use when asked about accessibility and inclusivity. We understand it is a topic area that is being asked about. We will ensure that everyone on this webinar today will be emailed a copy of that when that has been released, and we'll also make sure that when that is released it will be shared in the usual ways, such as the product and services newsletter, our own knowledge base, and through our usual service announcements and lists as well. So we'll make sure that everyone has the access to that, and like I say, I've got everyone's details on here from the webinar, so I can send it to you directly. And that's everything that I had planned to take you through today. I hope you found this webinar useful and it's helped you understand how we do design accessibility, inclusivity within Talis Aspire. I am happy to take any questions that you may have and pop them in the question box. And like I say, we'll be sharing the accessibility statement when that comes through. It's just being worked on at the moment. Okay, so there doesn't seem to be any questions, but if you do have any questions after the webinar, or if you're listening back on this on the recording, please do let me know. My email address is here. I will say that we're always on the lookout for universities to share different ideas, workflows, or anything interesting that you're working on that you would like to share with our community. If you do have anything, please do just let us know. And just to advise you, registration is open for Talis Insight Europe on the 30th of April and the 1st of May. Scary to think that we are fast approaching at December, so time is running by. So yeah, do check that out, and we've got previous content on there if you wanted to as well. So I'd just like to thank you all for attending today, and I hope you have a really good rest of your Wednesday, and I'll speak to you all soon, either on a call or on the next webinar. Thanks everyone. Bye.